I 27, F, have been with my husband, 29, M, for 5 years, married for 3 of those years. Our marriage was perfect and we were so happy. It felt like our entire life was perfect. Church on Sunday, loving husband, beautiful home, all of it. A few months into our marriage I became pregnant and my husband and I were overjoyed, and so was the rest of our family. My husband was especially happy after finding out our baby was a boy, as he'd always told me he wanted at least one son. I even started to try to attempt to repair my relationship with my mother so our son could have a relationship with his grandparents. I had originally cut off most contact with my mother due to how she treated my brother when he married his husband, though my brother said he was alright with my decision to try to get her back in my life since he still has love for her and my baby was her first grandchild. However, our son ended up stillborn, and it broke me. I fell into a depression and even at one point considered taking my life, but my husband was there for me during all of it and we got through the grief. Our marriage felt stronger than ever and life started slowly feeling beautiful again, even if it no longer felt perfect. About 5 months ago I found out I'm pregnant again, and then found out soon after that we're having triplets. My husband and I were over the moon and he was the most doting and loving husband. Since we had always said we wanted 2 to 3 children, we agreed we wouldn't try for any more children after this. Because of our and our family's excitement for the triplets, we decided to throw a baby shower and gender reveal party. We trusted my brother with the genders of the triplets and he bought some confetti cannons with the colored streamers inside. The baby shower went wonderfully with my parents, in-laws, my brother and his husband and their daughter, and tons of friends and extended family. It was like a dream come true and I was so excited for the gender reveal. I don't care what the gender of our babies was, I just wanted healthy little babies, but my husband was clearly excited for potentially 3 sons. When the time came, me, my husband, and my brother all shot a confetti cannon and all 3 shot out pink confetti. I was so excited and so was my brother, but my husband screamed at the top of his lungs and hit the table in front of us, hitting it so hard that it actually broke. He screamed at me that I was supposed to give him at least 1 son because I killed his first one. That's when I burst into tears. I had been so broken up about our son's stillbirth and a part of me had felt it was my fault, and now he, my husband, was the love of my life, telling me that it was. My brother immediately stepped in and tried to get my husband to calm down, but my husband shoved my brother, so my brother instead pulled me inside where I cried in the living room while my husband's mother tried to calm him down. I could hear him screaming outside about how 3 daughters is too many, how he doesn't want 4 kids but he also wants a son. Ever since that moment my husband has hardly talked to me. He's been sleeping in the guest room and when we do interact he's clearly upset and mad and tries to argue with me. I tried to talk to him about it and asked about how he'll be with our 3 daughters, but he spat at me and told me he will provide them shelter and food but he isn't interested in daughters and doesn't plan to have a close relationship with them. That sealed the deal that I want to divorce him and I cried myself to sleep last night. Earlier today I confided in my mother and Mill about all this, but they told me I can't divorce my husband just because he wants a son. I don't want my daughters to grow up in an unloving household where their parents constantly argue and their father doesn't love them. The moment my husband said I killed our son I felt as though I lost all love I had for him in an instant, and I don't want my daughters to be in that kind of household. However, both my mom and Mill say it's just natural for men to want sons and that at least he isn't saying he'll mistreat them. They treated this as absolute fact and acted as though I'm just a silly little girl who doesn't know anything. I felt incredibly small and stupid. I don't know what to do. My mother and Mill make me feel like maybe I'm overreacting to my husband's behavior, but my brother says this is not normal as he and his husband are both men who absolutely love their daughter. I'm also not sure of what I'll do with myself if I divorce my husband. I don't work and I'm not sure how I'll be able to find a job that can support me and 3 babies all on my own, or how I'll make time for all of them when I have to work. I feel so lost and helpless. I'm torn on what to do because I worry divorce will be too brash of a decision and that maybe my mother and Mill are right. Ida? What should I do? Update 1. I didn't expect to have an update so soon, but after reading everyone's comments I decided to take action immediately and went to my brother's house. We talked for hours through the night and came up with a plan. I am going to divorce my husband. He's shown the kind of man he is and I don't want to live in or raise daughters in that kind of environment. I'm going to move in with my brother and Bill during all this. He and his husband have a nice, large house where I can have my own room and a nursery for the triplets. I originally worried that perhaps myself and 3 babies would be overwhelming or a burden to him and my Bill, but they assured me they would love to have us here. I knew everything would be okay when my brother even offered to have a baby monitor put in their bedroom so he could help if more than one of the triplets woke up during the night. My Bill has a nice, high-paying job and my brother works from home, so I will have a stable environment and my brother will help with his nieces. My own niece is excited for us to live with her. The current plan is I will live with my brother and Bill for a while, and once my babies are old enough where I feel comfortable putting them in daycare, which my Bill has offered to pay for, then I can try to find a job of my own where I can save up money and eventually move into a nice place of my own with my daughters. I'm so thankful for my brother and Bill, they truly feel like angels. My brother and I are also going to go no contact with my mother. My brother and I discussed her behavior with us growing up, how she treated him when he came out and also got married, and how she's treated me these past few days. We decided this was the best course of action as we've given her many chances in our lives to become more stable and kind, but she's always refused them, and we want our daughters to grow up in with a loving family. When I knew my husband had left for church this morning, my brother, Bill, and I went to my house and got all my important things such as documents, clothes, and things that are special to me as well as all the baby things. My Bill's mother watched my niece while we did all this. She's a kind woman and has offered to be a grandmother to my own babies, which I happily accepted. I will admit that I cried. I've cried a lot lately, but mostly happy tears. Because my brother and I didn't go to church, my ladies' Bible study group texted me and asked if we were all right and if we needed anything. I texted them back and told them the truth and what happened, and they were all horrified. They told me they support me and are proud of me for taking action, and are now even planning a bake sale at the church to help raise money for me and my babies. Also, apparently when my husband went out to lunch after church with his men's Bible group, one of the other members is husbands to one of my friends in my Bible group, and when he found out what happened, he yelled at my husband so much that he cried. I got a little bit of joy out of hearing about that, not going to lie. My pastor even called me and asked if I'm okay, and he let me know that I'll always have people who support me at my church, which I'm very grateful for. After my husband came home from church and saw that most of my stuff was gone, he blew up my phone, but my Bill called him for me and said that he would pay for my husband to get therapy for his grief over our son, and also told him to leave me alone. My husband has not tried to contact me since, and he has yet to give my Bill an answer for his therapy offer. All in all, I'm so grateful for my brother and Bill. I wouldn't be able to do any of this without them. I'm hopeful for the future, and while this isn't the kind of future I imagine myself or my babies, this is definitely the best one I can currently give them. They say it takes a village, and my babies will definitely have a village full of love and support. Thank you and bless you to everyone who left comments supporting me. I'm grateful for all of them. I'm glad I could give you a very speedy and happy update. Now on to the next story. Story 2. I have a habit of making my own meals to work, simply because I love cooking and health-related issues. So I just started a new job in a new company 3 months ago. And seeing me making my own lunch every day has gotten me some attention from some colleagues. With that, I was able to talk and mingle in a new environment. My colleagues tend to ask things like recipes, how long did I take to make it so and so, just small talk questions. Everyone was okay except for this one girl from the same department from me, which I will name her as Sally, 27F, a junior designer. From the first day she saw my lunch, Sally has thrown in a lot of comments like how envious she is that I could cook my own meals, etc. It was fine until after 1 week later, she started asking me questions like, so when will you make me lunch? I was taken aback, but I thought she was joking and waved it off with a smile and a nod. After that, at least once a week, Sally would ask me the same question again, and sometimes she'd even say things like, you still owe me a lunch made by you, or she'll whine about me not wanting to cook for her. I've kindly turned her down every time she brings up about this issue. Last Monday, she offered to pay me if I make her lunch, for $3. I told her no again, and she was visibly upset. She told me it's not that hard to make her lunch since I'm already cooking for myself every day, single, and I am being unsociable and unfriendly by not making her food. Since then, she has been passive-aggressive towards me, as well as not willing to cooperate at work when I hand her new tasks. It has made me feel bad about it, and I have no idea how to go about this. Should I have just made her lunch just to keep the peace? This feels horrible and I don't know how to deal with it. Frown. Edit. After reading all your comments, I think I will try to talk to Sally about this. If that doesn't get through, I'll have to discuss this matter with a same ranking colleague or my supervisor. Verdict, not the a-hole. Comments where Op has replied. Winter_raisin_591. NTA, tell her you are under no obligation to cook for her or anyone else. Full stop. I also suggest registering a complaint with HR before she turns this into something else. OP, I've told her that before, but she'll go all pick-me-up girlish, saying things like, but your food looks so good, it's honestly driving me crazy, especially now that her attitude has flipped 180 degrees after I turn her down for 3 months. Frowns. Update 1. Not sure how do I post an update, so I will just write it out on my own profile. First off, I would like to clarify some details I left out in my previous post. You can skip this if you don't really bother with the deets. For those who said Sally is flirting with me, I am 26F and Sally is anti-LGBTQ, so I think flirting is highly impossible. For those who asked about my job, I work in a design agency as a senior designer. Sally is my work junior. I work closely with the juniors as I oversee their work. Also, I am actually from Southeast Asia. I used USD in my previous post was because Sally legit told me $3 because USD is 4 times more than our currency. Somehow she believes it sounds nicer. So after reading most of your comments, I have gave it a long thought about how I want to approach this issue. With that, I decided to not make lunch today and bring Sally out for lunch as to confront her about this whole lunch thingy privately. I offered to pay for her lunch on the condition I picked the venue, and she was quick to agree, and her attitude went back to how it was before I declined her request. Which I find it weird, But yay, I was first relieved that at the least I could talk to her about things and hoping I can iron this out on my own. That 40 minutes of my life felt like hell. I brought up the issue of me not being comfortable with her recent attitude and her requests after we have ordered our food. The whole time I was talking to her she either zones out or just retorts with why? Or why not? Here's a little snippet of how our conversation went. Me, Sally, your constant pestering about how I should make you lunch is making me uncomfortable. I'd appreciate if you'd stop that. Sally, why? Me, I mean like, I don't cook for anyone other than myself. Sally, why? Me, because Sally, I'm your colleague not her BF or mom or family. Sally, but I don't see why you couldn't make me lunch just once, I'll pay you double this time. It felt like the conversation was going nowhere. The rest of lunch was filled with awkward silence. Sally would just sit there and stare at me without saying anything, and I'm not sure if it's just her zoning out or she's somewhat pissed at me. She didn't even apologize, not once. The whole thing made my stomach feel weird, like something is grabbing my guts and twisting them around. The tension between us was awkward even the whole way we walked back to the office. Another senior designer, Mark, took notice and he pulled me away to talk about work. Sally gave me one more look and walked to her seat. Mind you, up till this point I have never talked to anyone in the company about Sally and things she had told me. I was brought into a breakout room. Mark went straight to the point. Did Sally ask you for something ridiculous or weird? Turns out, some people in the office were unhappy with Sally and her little antics. She once pestered a colleague into buying her souvenirs as this colleague does a lot of work traveling. In meetings, she would zone out when people are talking to her and she would always shift the weight to someone else, e.g. well we have 30 so, there's nothing to worry about. Also few times she'd take bits of food off guys' plates like fries and would giggle if anyone tries to tell her off. If the giggling doesn't work, she would retort the same whys and why nots I got during my talk with her. Mark suggests I should make arrangements with my supervisor to talk about it. They have all done it earlier this year and that stopped her from doing what she did to them, well most of them. She still zones out in meetings or mid-conversations. I thanked Mark for his suggestion and decided it was a necessary next step. I have told my reporting manager about the gist of things, and I will be having a meeting with him tomorrow to give him more in-depth details. Somehow, it's assuring to see he actually had to massage his forehead followed by a long sigh when I mentioned Sally's name. I hope things will get better after this. P.S. As I was typing this I couldn't help but think back on some of Sally's behavior towards me throughout these 3 months, and at most times it is weird and I'd what to make of them. Maybe I'll make a separate post about it if anyone is invested. Haha. Update 2. Not sure if anyone considers this an update, but I just want to write this out. I've talked about the whole Sally thing with my friends over Discord last night while we were playing games. Apparently, some of my friends attended the same art school as Sally and was at one point sharing the same few classes. This is quite a famous art school in my country. If you tell people you are a designer, people's first guess would be you've studied there. From what I've gathered from my friends, in short, they describe Sally as a person with bad social skills but is naturally gifted in design. She doesn't talk much, but whenever she decides she wants to be friends with you she could only spout questions that are uncomfortable to most people. In one instance, Sally asked a classmate why did her parents get a divorce. With such, they've concluded she has bad social skills, but they have never seen her reacting negativity when people don't respond to her. They were shocked when I told them she was being uncooperative at work. Also, according to them, Sally behaves in a way that suggests her parents shield her from the world a lot. She's unaware of many things that's deemed common sense for most. She once became paranoid because she learned about scams in college and believed by picking up one phone call from a stranger would land her in a lifetime of debt. She's also very insecure about many things, e.g. her looks, her weight, relationships, etc. At the end of the day, they didn't know much about Sally personally because back then they thought she was nosy by always asking people very personal questions. However, Sally does have a few friends in college. With this in mind, I recall how Sally asked me weird questions such as, my salary as well as me joining the company as a senior despite her having more work experience than me, as well as trying to dump her relationship problems on me. Maybe it is her attempt in trying to be friends with me? Now that I think about it, she needs some sort of professional help more than discipline for her actions. Comments where Op has replied. Kithif Axel, she definitely has some social issues and probably needs therapy, but her behavior goes beyond just not understanding social cues. She may be neurodivergent, I'm neurodivergent myself, and her parents protecting her has stunted her development greatly, but that's not an excuse for breaking boundaries continuously and only stopping when a higher up is brought in. She must be an amazing designer to still have a job after all the things she's done and how she just doesn't seem to contribute to the team. She sounds like a nightmare to deal with, honestly. OP, yes, she does do good work, and I do realize her behavior, it's not something you'd see every day. I've suggested to my supervisor that if it's possible for the company to kinda talk her into getting professional help, since we do have this benefit called mental health claims. Nonetheless, I do hope for the best for Sally. Unfortunately, I have no means nor the ability to help her. Final update. Hello everyone, this will be the final update. Took me a little while to write this post because I was busy at work. First of all, I'd like to thank you internet strangers for all the advice and similar experiences. It helped me a lot with navigating the situation as a whole. However, I'm still baffled by such behaviors ESP in a work environment where I was taught people are professional there. Anyways, onto the main topic. I had my meeting about the issue I had with Sally first thing in the morning. I told my manager that the main problem is work, about how uncooperative she was with me. It didn't take long for him to link this whole thing back to Sally making unreasonable requests for colleagues again. He didn't exactly tell me what the company would do at the time but mentioned that the company would take appropriate measures in regards to this. Soon enough, an email was sent to Sally with all the senior designers CC'd in. In short, Sally will be put into probation as well as having a 30% pay cut, and she has been assigned to a more stern and experienced senior designer. I heard she's really scary, for work evaluation. Sally only gets one more chance to keep her job. One more of those requests from her after this would result in termination. Sally started kicking and crying upon reading the email as she yelled, "It's not fair." Repeatedly. Everyone looked at Sally briefly and went back into their own businesses. I saw some colleagues put on their earphones and raising the volume, some put on earplugs, and the ones sitting near her would just walk away with their laptops. No one consoled her, everyone just pretended she wasn't there. It felt as if I was watching a movie at this rate. Still a little worried that Sally would do something to me, I asked Mark if he could sit with me during lunch in case Sally tries anything. I'm not sure if Mark meant it as a joke or what, but he said, "No worries, she's not smart enough to link this back to you." Lunch since that day has never been so peaceful, and I'm looking forward to more peaceful lunches as long as I'm with this company. Comments where Op has replied. A few creeps, great job seeing this through till the end. You improved your and all of your co-workers and superiors, work environment and mental health by leaps and bounds. I honestly wish the same for Sally. OP, I do hope Sally understood what she's doing is not okay and improve herself. Though, I wouldn't see myself interacting with her anytime soon outside of work-related matters.